Hey there, welcome. My name is Shireen, and this is the beginning of our Getting Started in Photoshop series. So I'm going to be sort of taking it literally from, step one, somebody just opening up Photoshop and familiarizing themselves with the workspace. Once I introduce you to the basic tools, drop-down menus, and panels, then we're going to be moving on to some photo editing and a little bit more advanced tasks. So again, if you are familiar already with Photoshop and you want to just dive right in, check out the rest of the playlist. But if you are still just getting started, you've just opened it up, you don't know where to begin, stick with me here. I'm going to hopefully help you to get to feel a little bit more comfortable in the workspace. So one of the first things I would call your attention to is our toolbar. Here in general, obviously, I already have a few documents open from sort of some of my summer trips, and I'm going to be using them for our demos. But, again, kind of consider that here's our artwork and our images here. And the rest of that gray space in Illustrator, sometimes I like to refer to it as the desktop, but we could also kind of refer to it as the stage, where you've got all of the key players so that you can start doing creating some really beautiful artwork. So looking at our tools, here we've got our drop-down menu and our panel. So let me kind of introduce you and give you a walk around so you can familiarize yourself. We have a couple different ways that we can view our toolbar. More and more nowadays, this is the default view, but if you would like, you can also kind of see them paired up. Maybe one of the benefits of seeing them paired up is because the tools are really related to one another and categorized again, sort of by related tasks. So what I mean by that is you can click on these two triangles here, and that can show you again. This is from very, very many years ago, the traditional way we used to look at the toolbar. And again, it kind of helped remind us that these clusters are tools that do related tasks. So the first four have to do with selecting. This is when we want to move something around. Again, I want to just show you that with more and more of the latest updates of the software, just by me, there's a video within a video, just by me letting my mouse rest on each tool, I can get a very quick little snippet, and that kind of shows you that if you have more than one image or element, you can move them around within the document. Here we can create selections by creating different shapes. We're noticing that a couple of these tools have that little triangle there on the bottom right. If you see a tool with a triangle on the bottom right, which I think all of them do except for our zoom tool, you'll know that you can click and hold to see the related tool. So this is rectangle, ellipse, single row. All right, so we've got these tools here. I can also go back again and kind of click back onto those triangles to get the view for the toolbar. Here is how we can create shapes. So here's geometric shape selections. Here's how we can make selections that are freehand with our lasso, polygonal, and magnetic lasso. So we're going to talk about all those. Here's how we can create selections freeform based on color groupings, colors that are related and sort of color related families of color. And here's our magic wand. Unlike Illustrator, if you've been peeking around in Illustrator or working with Illustrator, you know that you can do what we call sort of a tear-off palette if you want to see related tools all at once. Unfortunately, that functionality is not in Photoshop yet, but hopefully we can still be optimistic. But for the meantime, you're going to have to just click and hold, toggle to the tool that you want, and access them that way. We've got our crop tool for cropping images, sample eyedrop for sampling color. You can see a really nice little quick video there. Here's where we're going to do all of our photo editing. Well, not all, but a big significant amount of great photo editing tools here. Spot healing and healing, patch, content aware, and everybody, of course, from our phones, we know that red eye effect. We've got our drawing tools, so brush and pencil and such, with eraser down here. Over here is the famous clone stamp tool. All right, so again, I'm going to go into deeper applications of these tools, but for right now, eraser, gradient, paint bucket for filling, some more editing with our blur, sharpen, smudge, dodge, burn, and sponge. We've got some vector functionality in Photoshop. More and more as the applications matured and progressed, we started to get functionality from each program in the other. So here on the Photoshop side, we have a little bit of the vector and shape functionality. Over on the Illustrator side, we've more and more got some really fun effects under the effects panel to be able to work with photos. We've got our type tool. All right, so selecting shapes, creating shapes, all of these are that vector functionality. Grabber and zoom tool. We've got our foreground color and background color, and this is set to the default. Right, so different ways that we can zoom out and view our artwork. I'm going to go back to standard, and we're going to check out our panels. So again, I kind of liken it to, here's our canvas, here's our brush, but if we're ready to create artwork, we need some color. So think of this again as your palette of color. Think of working with your layers. This is again, say the artwork. We can think of layers kind of like tracing paper or different additional layers that you can, non-destructive edits. You can go back in history and undo things. Not just once, not just twice, but multiple levels of undo. Let me see if I have another one that's got more undos going on. Yes, I was doing some work on this photo, and let's say I want to go back to 14 levels of undo. I can do that, and I can quickly and easily access that. So history palette, pretty important. I would have that open, definitely. If any of the panels are not open, for example, by mistake, you closed it out, you can find your panels under Window. So I'm going to go back and reopen history. There it is. I can click and hold to get it to group back. You see it turned blue, and I can get it to group back under this tab of panels. And this reminds me that under Window, that's one of our pull down menus, and it shows us sort of, again, different ways that we can arrange the images. Right now I have a lot of images open. If I want to see them all at once, for example, I could say open 6 of my different images up at once, right? So that's kind of cool. I'm going to go back and just say consolidate them into tabs, so I'm looking at one at a time. But in addition to that, we can talk about our workspace. Right now my panels and everything that's showing in my window are from the default Essentials workspace. Let's say, for example, though, that I'm ready to start creating some animation or video work, video editing, I would go under Motion. So there I have my video timeline, and I would have different panels related to video. All right, so different actions, history, and such. I'm going to go back to Essentials. All right, and then last but not least, under Window are the rest of my panels and the other images that I have available to me in my window. The rest of the pull down menu, we've got File, anything related, obviously, saving, closing, reverting. I could even revert back to before I created, to what it was, what the image was when I first opened it. Edit for cutting, pasting, reflecting, transforming. Image, here's where we're thinking about color modes. Here's where we're thinking about the image size and canvas size. Layer for working with our layers, a little bit more related tasks to working with our layers. Our type, our selection pull down menu has some really great choices too for refining a selection. One of the biggies would be inverting a selection, so we'll definitely take a peek at that. Filters, where the fun happens. We definitely get a lot of really great artistic motion video, motion blur, some rendering, some really cool filters there. 3D for potentially creating some 3D artwork. View for how we view our work. All of this, again, none of this is how it prints, but it just helps facilitate us as we're working. If your rulers, for example, you need your rulers, it gives you some context as to sort of where you are in the document, how big your document is. That's under View. All right, so last but not least, our control panel up here. As you see, depending on the different tool that I select, it's got different options for that tool. So that's under Window, Options. All right, so here's how it looks without, and then here's how it looks. If you're used to working with the control panel in any of the other programs, you're definitely going to want to have that open as well. It adjusts according to the task at hand, so a lot of the related things that you might want to do are right there, easily accessible. All right, so that's 10 minutes to hopefully get you up and running with the basic sort of and getting an idea of where everything is. Come join me over on to my next few videos where I get you started working with some of the basic tools, selecting, some photo editing, and working a little bit with that layers panel to let you start to get really comfortable in Photoshop. Please don't forget, Ask questions in the comments panel, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.